In almost any organization, the person with the most actual influence rarely sits in the corner office. They rarely hold the highest title. Instead, that leverage usually belongs to the person everyone quietly calls when a crisis hits. The author Robert Greene codified this dynamic in his 11th law of power: learn to keep people dependent on you. On the surface, that instruction sounds deeply cynical. It evokes images of a toxic colleague hoarding information to secure their own job. But reading the rule as a playbook for manipulation misses the actual mechanics at work. When applied correctly, this principle forms a highly practical blueprint for outlasting corporate shakeups and building genuine career stability. Let's look at a common workplace archetype: the completely reliable task performer. This is an honest, hard-working professional who clocks in, completes every assignment to specification, and causes zero friction. The vulnerability in this approach lies in the output itself. A professional whose entire daily value consists of executing routine, predictable instructions has capped their ceiling. Today, predictable instructions are rapidly being outsourced or handed over to machine learning algorithms capable of parsing repetitive tasks at a fraction of the cost. Because anyone can be trained to follow those exact same instructions in a matter of days, the task performer's sudden departure would barely register. The organization might experience a slight delay, but within a week, a replacement is fully operational. Completing assigned duties efficiently makes you a good employee, but it offers exactly zero protection against irrelevance. If the work can be easily replicated, the worker can be easily replaced. The alternative is becoming what we can call a useful asset. These individuals ignore the standard checklist and instead look for the organizational friction everyone else tolerates, asking, "What painful problem can I solve that is currently being ignored?" Their approach relies on a critical distinction between applying a temporary skill and building a permanent system. We can see this dynamic visually here. On the left side, answering the same difficult client question every single day requires skill, but it traps you in a repetitive loop. On the right, designing a permanent process, like an accessible knowledge base, solves the problem at its root, so the question never arises again. As you construct these solutions year after year, your value compounds. You stop being a localized worker and start functioning as a central hub that multiple departments route their operations through. Think of a major hospital. The attending physicians perform the visible, life-saving procedures. But if the emergency coordinators or network engineers managing the patient databases disappear, the entire clinical apparatus paralyzes. You do not become indispensable by working 70 hours a week to clear your inbox. You achieve it by replacing temporary effort with permanent, structural infrastructure that your colleagues rely on to do their own jobs. This raises a necessary ethical boundary. Creating reliance should never involve hiding critical passwords, purposefully obscuring your workflow, or stifling a junior colleague's development. Engineering dependency through sabotage is simply a fragile form of manipulation. True indispensability is the natural byproduct of undeniable excellence. People naturally gravitate towards those who eliminate friction. A highly effective teacher creates students capable of thinking for themselves. A competent director builds resilient, self-sufficient teams. By consistently making the entire ecosystem run smoother, the organization receives a steady supply of unique, high-level problem-solving. In exchange, the individual secures immense institutional leverage. Green's law also acts as a harsh warning when we reverse the perspective. We have to examine asymmetrical dependency, the profound risk of an organization needing you while you rely exclusively on one single source of support. If your entire path to promotion relies on the good graces of a single manager, or your business revenue stems from one anchor client, your position is extremely precarious. If that manager transfers or that client vanishes, the underlying structure holding up your livelihood shatters immediately. Real leverage requires a strict dual strategy. You cultivate highly specialized skills that make you invaluable to the broader market, while deliberately reducing the number of gatekeepers you need to survive. It reveals a surprising paradox about professional growth. The people who aggressively demand elevated titles and prioritize direct monetary extraction often face the steepest uphill battles to secure them. True economic power follows a predictable chain reaction. Deep structural usefulness generates intense demand. That demand naturally surfaces rare opportunities, and those opportunities yield lasting influence. Consider your own daily operations. If you completely disconnected from your workplace, your business, or your community for 30 days, would the machinery actually grind to a halt in your absence? Stop wasting energy trying to capture the attention of management. Focus instead on building the kind of unique systemic value that makes your absence deeply felt.